up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonia Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How is your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going. And today, we have an awesome guest for you guys. But before we get into that, make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. Share it with the people that you know. When you go to the website, you'll find ways that you can support the show by clicking the Support the Show tab. You can send us messages. You can watch the podcast there. You can find all the ways you can follow us. We'll talk more about that later because we want to get into our guest. And today, we have the honor
and the privilege,
right? Yeah. To have a friend on the podcast who's an incredible person, first of all.
Yes.
But has done some amazing things that just you wouldn't like. It's things that you wouldn't even think of trying to do, right? But he has one of the biggest, or a few of the biggest YouTube channels in India with over 500,000 subscribers. He's been able to interview people like Wim Hof, Les Brown. I mean, some of the life hacks that he has on his channel are just, they can be life-changing if you apply them to your life. It is so awesome for us to be able to have BNS on the show today.
You guys.
Hey, BNS, welcome to the podcast.
I'm so happy to talk with you guys. It's you guys are awesome. You know that, right? Of course.
Thank you.
My friend. So BNS and I met in India, right? In Mumbai. And It was so cute because we had an ultimate, right? The ultimate coach experience there in India. And that's actually what got me to India, right? Surrounded by some amazing, beautiful, inspiring individuals from all around the world. And there were huge groups and people talking back and forth. And every time, like BNS, I didn't know you then, but every time you would come by, your smile would just light up the room. And it's like our energies just connected. We would look at each other. We would poke at, like we were just playing with each other the entire time, but didn't even really say a word to each other, right?
Yeah. So,
it's
like Sonia, like whenever I saw her, I just wanted to get near her and just tease her. I don't know why, but we had lots of fun. And I really had fun. With you. Thank you.
We both have that playful energy.
It's kind of like how you bug your friends.
Yes. That's what it was. It was like an old friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And then after we just connected, it's like I knew that I had to, meet you. Like there was an energy pulling me to you. And the more I got to know you, the more like I fell in love with you. You are the definition of joy. That's how I see you, the definition of joy. You're always so happy and just so available to help anyone that you can.
I think that comes through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I know our listeners are going to be able to see that with you.
Yeah. So we wanted to get into your story a little bit and, get to know you and let our listeners get to know you a little bit more. We were kind of talking about that, the channels that you have Hero BNS. BNS Goku Great, right?
Yes.
And I was checking out some of the videos on your Hero BNS channel, and it's awesome. Like it has all these life hacks. It's like short videos with some lessons that like I was saying, like they can be really impactful. So like when did you start getting into the life hacks, and like when did you start thinking about that kind of stuff?
Well, once upon a time. So back then, so from childhood onwards, I always believe in positive thinking and self-help and everything.
Right.
But I did not even start any book. So I have read only one book. So that's it. But in 2018, I was fat. Okay. We all know that a sound mind resides in a sound body, but I do not have a sound body. So, but it's like a paradox,
we can relate.
And irony that I'm preaching some stuff to all the people, but I'm not practicing. It's like I'm fat, but I'm preaching some stuff to people, which is like exact opposite of that. So
right.
I started to like, I'm already in this self-help and everything, right? So I found a channel called Impact Theory by Tom Bilyeu. If you know who is he,
Yes.
it's like a billionaire and stuff. So he interviews a lot of people. So what he started is that he started to interview some of the health experts.
Yes.
So he used to interview some health experts and I used to listen to them and my mind used to get blown every single time. So I made a commitment that if he interviews a person, I will watch that interview and I will read their books.
Wow.
So slowly what happened is that 1 became 10, 10 became 20, 30, 40, 100. And slowly what I observed is that my entire life and mindset changed drastically.
Yeah.
And starting, I started to read with health books. Slowly it migrated into positive thinking, psychology, and so many stuff. So
wow.
I thought that, okay, I'm getting this kind of knowledge by reading only one book. What happens if I read 100, 200, 1,000? So that's how I was able to read 500 books in the last 3.5 years. And
wow,
500 bucks. So BNS, we talk about your family a lot, right? Like you're very, very family oriented. So this positive motivation or development that you have, where did that come from? Like, is that something that was input, something how you were brought up? Where did that come from?
Okay, so my family, yes, it's a family thing. So just to give a context on how close we are, I think you all know this, but I never even crossed a road without my family. I never been outside my home without family. So even when I go to college or school, my grandmother used to accompany me in the car and they used to drop them, even if it's like 1 minute from our home. So everything is like such tight knittedness. And my grandfather and my father, they are like, my father is a very high top level government official. My grandfather was like a president for the village. So it's like they have all the authoritative posts, but they always focused on helping people from childhood onwards, like help as many people as possible. That's the thing that goes in our house. And even my grandmother used to say that it's okay that you don't help people, but don't harm them. So that's very important. So every day, everywhere, like we'd like to help people. And I think that's how it came.
I love that. So they installed, it's okay if you don't help people, though you guys did serve many, just don't harm them. Yes. Humanity.
My statement is also this, that I want to help as many people as possible while having fun. So that's the motto of my...
Yeah, that's awesome. That is a great way to live. A great, motto to live by.
Yes. So this is just something that you've always had within because it was passed down to you, and your father and grandfather were successful and great people. And it sounds like that's just what it's part of who you are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really quick, you and I were talking about being happy.
Yeah.
And we were talking about when you were overweight.
Yeah.
And a topic came up yesterday, and I want to ask you this question.
Oh, that's a good one.
I was telling Miguel that you can still be happy, fat. And what I meant by that...
overweight and out of shape, yeah.
Right, like overweight, out of shape. Yes. And he's like, well, I don't know if you can be happy being overweight.
Not happy. Maybe not like to the fullest extent. That's what I was thinking.
Because I was sharing with him when he was overweight that we had the family dynamic. We had the love and light, right, within our family. And he was happy.
I was.
Right? Like you were happy. And so my question to you, you had that family dynamic. You had that love. You had that support. You had everything.
Seems like you were happy.
But you were overweight. Yeah. Were you joyful? Were you happy? Was within that time when you were overweight?
Okay. here, there's a simple way we can answer this. So I'm happy at that time, but it reminds me of Abraham Maslow's quote, what one can be, one must be.
Yes.
So at that moment, I was not what I can be. So yes, I'm happy, but see, when we do not fulfill or actualize our potential, there's always like going on here that we are not being up to our strength. So that's always there in my mind. See, we can be happy, we can enjoy. But when I was fat, to be like really honest, I'm always honest, but I'm saying this, that my mood fluctuations were different. Yes, I was happy almost of the time, but mood fluctuations was different. And my strength is different. So I could not utilize my potential, right? So that's always there in my mind. So becoming fit is a statement that, yes, I'm becoming the person I can be. So that's how I see it.
Right. That's kind of like we were talking about at dinner yesterday with the kids. I signed up recently for a big tournament for jiu-jitsu, which is grappling, which is what I do. And it's the big one. And I've been telling Sonia, and I've told a few people that I know what I'm capable of. And one of the reasons for signing up for something like this is to put what I can see in my head and know what I'm capable of in real life, like to manifest that. And just because, like you said, it's like something that you must do because that's what you're capable of, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a,
go ahead.
There's a difference also here. See, once we become what we can be, we can also help others.
Exactly.
So the reason why I lost 60 pounds, right? So once I lost that, I have this knowledge that I gained by reading a lot of books, and I improved my life, that I started to share with other people. Now I have 500,000 subscribers. The main reason is that I used to start sharing the health advice.
Right.
So did you see the thing that if I was happy that I'm okay with the fatness and obesity, I would be okay. But if I did not become the person I can be, there are so many people who are waiting to listen to your medicine. Like your message is their medicine. So you're just delaying that.
Right. You know,
that's amazing.
And what is the other thing that I've told you about? Another reason for signing up for these tournaments for me. Do you remember?
Mm-mm.
It's because one of the other things that I really enjoy about jiu-jitsu is teaching people, is teaching jiu-jitsu. And the only way to sincerely and authentically be able to teach jiu-jitsu is to put yourself in real competition, because then you're teaching from real experience. I'm not teaching you from theory, from things that I think are going to work, but I haven't really tried them in real competition.
Yes.
So it's almost like being a little bit of a hypocrite. Right?
Yes. Miguel, and this reminds me of one more thing, like the way you said, it's like perfect. So see, that's this path that many people, a normal person, generally overcomes his obstacles to become a hero. But then that's not the end. Then he has to play one more role to act as a guide. So unless we become the hero we are supposed to be, we can't help others. So exactly. Like
it's the journey, right? It's the journey that makes you. It's the journey that shares the story. And that's amazing, because then you start to see, when you play your movie back or your life back as a movie, you start to see everything that happened in order to get you exactly where you are, because we are the creators, right? As God is, we are. And so I was just reflecting on that last night, sitting in our living room and looking around and realizing the life that we created. And so you created exactly where you are, and being able to read 500 books, like that's just
500 books, but 35 books in the last 30 days, which is... That's insane. I mean, some people don't read any books.
Yeah.
But I mean, like a book a year, maybe, right?
Miguel and I were talking about It was just a question. I asked him if you could have any superpower.
Oh, we have to send him that clip.
Oh yeah, we made a clip. That's right. We talked about it on a previous episode. I asked him if you could have any superpower, what would that be?
Yeah, and I was making fun of her because I was like, I'm thinking like I don't know. I'm like invisibility. I want to be able to fly, and she's like, I want to be able to read books, and I'm like, ugh,
like super
that
fast.
is so boring.
Like, could you
It's
imagine BNS just putting your hand on a book and having all that knowledge?
Well, actually, that's reality. I will tell you an example that will make you happy. So I interviewed a person called Howard Berg, who is world's fastest reader since 1990. No one broken his record since 1990. He reads 80 pages per minute. So what happened is that he wanted his wife to go on a cruise ship, but he does not have the money. But what he found is that certain category of experts can come there if they can teach their subjects. Okay. So he saw this list of subjects and everything. He don't know anything. So he saw something called Photoshop. So what he did was that he has the capability to read books, right? So he literally bought 10 books and read it. And he got on board of the cruise ship and he explained in such a way that people were so happy and they said that you are the best. So he himself got a cruise ride for himself and his wife. So book reading is really a superpower.
Yeah.
I love that.
No, I was just giving her a hard time.
Yes.
That's what I have to do that. Right? Kind of like your friend. You poke your friend.
Yes.
You mess with the people that you love.
Yes.
But no, that's awesome.
So yes, I want to dive deep into BNS's brain, not to who you are. Like, what makes you you? You had mentioned your family. You had mentioned having this burning desire. Sounds like to be the best you that you can possibly be. And then, so what age was that when you started to be aware that that's who you are? Like, this is, what age was it where you had the awareness?
So actually, see, some things just go on through the minds. So one second. Yeah.
No problem.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Well,
yes.
Yep.
So from childhood onwards, there's something like Bruce Lee used to explain that there's a hidden force within me that just wants to come out. Like, I know that I am made for greatness. So that's why I always make my channels and my email, everything like great. I am the greatest. So I have this feeling, but as I say, it's in 2018 that I started to really implement that. So from childhood, maybe at my 7th standard or something, I started to feel that there's something like there. It's just, I used to talk with my friends that one day I'm going to be big on YouTube. One day I'm going to write a book. Like, I used to say such stuff to the people, but see, everyone just settles for less. I feel so bad looking at that. And it's a crime because I'm saying it's criminal to think like that. Having the highest hopes, like some people think that, okay, it might not be for us. Who determined that? There are some people who made like $1 million in an hour.
Right.
Why can't you make it in a year? So I always think like that. Why can't I?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's how it is.
That's awesome. There was exactly what you were talking about. There's that quote that I've mentioned a few times on the podcast, but it's like, we are who we are, not because of who we think we are. It's who we think we're not. Right. And it's because people think so small. Like, it's like, well, they think so small, like you said, that's not possible for me, but it's like, why not? And that's something that I've talked to you about a lot, is like how, like, people's potential, like I have said a lot, like, I truly believe that people can learn pretty much anything.
Yes.
I mean, you may not want to learn it, but you have the capability to do it. Everybody does, if you really wanted to. And maybe for some people it's easier to do it, and for some people it's harder, but it doesn't mean that it can't be done.
Yes.
But I think that is really literally possible for just about everybody.
Yes.
What do you think is the difference between someone that has that mindset and someone that does not?
Growth mindset versus fixed mindset. There's a concept about this by Carol Dweck. She written a book called Mindset. So but everything is trainable. There is nothing fixed. We can literally change our identity every second. So it's all within our hands. See, our identity is like a tabletop. All the beliefs and the experiences that we had in our life forms that identity. But if you experience more new things and have more beliefs, we can always create new identity. So that's what I think.
Right.
He broke it down that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we were talking about like the positivity in your home, you know, and how growing up was a positive environment. And we've also kind of talked about recently where, you know, having that positive, helpful, like how you always want to be, I mean, looking how you can help the people around you, right? Mm-hmm. How does that compare to like a scarcity mindset? Because when you're just like, if your family brings you up, just like, hey, always look at how you can help somebody else. If somebody needs help lifting something while you're walking by, help them pick it up and then keep walking, or however you can help anybody. How is that different from like a scarcity mindset?
So, see, when one becomes scarce, like in the mindset, they will always think to get something from someone so that they can come to a position. What I remember is that when we become out of service, we become out of money. That's very simple. So, yes, I totally understand that when people are in scarcity mindset, they are always in desperation, right? Imagine that there's a coach who wants to help people, but they're in a scarce place. So they just want to pay their bills. So they just like whatever they say, the sound will come as desperation. So they have to train a lot. So give out, like give without holding back, and you will get it. Because see, this is metaphorically, we can say that, but practically also. When we sow a seed, they will think that you will reap something, but they forget that they will reap 100 times. See, if you sow one seed, a fruit of a seed, the plant will become tree and it will have hundreds of fruits where you'll get 100 more seeds.
Right.
So whatever you sow, you'll get 100 times back. So that's it's important to remember that.
And it's kind of like the scarcity mindset is like you sow one seed and then you pay all your attention to that one seed. Like this is the one that has to, you know, and instead of just go sowing seeds, help a bunch of people. And then before you know it, you have hundreds and thousands of seeds.
Yes. Yes. There's so much to this. It's constant learning, right? Constant learning, constant growing. Now we see this happy face, BNS. We see you in light. Now, what is a challenge or obstacle that you had to face throughout your life that you've been able to overcome?
Okay. You know, my family is very tight-knitted, very powerful together. In 2021, my grandmother passed away, who was the closest to me. And last year, my father passed away. Wow. So it's like...
so sorry.
Everything, like most powerful, like the people who you look up to are suddenly not there.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest. And I almost questioned everything back then. Like my father passed away in September of 2022.
Wow.
I got to know Steve Hartz in November end. So it's like good thing that I found him. Because of him, I rose back again. But when my father passed away, he has like all the wealth, all the power, like everything. But when he wanted to enjoy life, he passed away very quick. We were so shocked. Within a week, he passed away. Wow. So like, I questioned everything that, like, why I'm doing anything. Like, really,
what is the point?
Entire
what
purpose.
Matters?
Like, why we are doing so many things. There are so many people who just go through life like zombies. And at the end of the day, they look at the retirement. And once they retire, they don't have the energy. And they will spend all the money on the health. Like, so I questioned everything. And I was like in a very weird mood for a month or so. But because of all the values that I got imbibed, I came back. And at the same time, Steve Hudson came into my life, and it was easy to grow.
To get back.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So what are some things maybe that you can help our listeners, that are going through obstacles and challenges in their life? What are some things, what are some tips that you can give them to help them get out of that dark place? What were some things that you did to get yourself into the light?
Yes. So it might sound very controversial, but I'll say this. Everything is happening for a reason. Even though it's very hard for you to believe, like everything is happening to you, you deserve that. Like, I mean, not in a bad sense, but it is a fertilizer or soil that will make you grow faster. I observed it. See, I don't need to do anything for life, but still I can be happy. That's the position that my family put me in. But can you imagine the person who you look up to and everything is that person suddenly vanished in a week without, he does not know that itself. My father did not know that he's about to pass away. Like, it's like very fast. I took my father to my elevator and he was going through the elevator and he passed away. That's it. That's how quick he passed away.
Right.
So there are so many stages of, the stages of grief, and that there's a model that first people go into denial and they will blah, blah. And the last stage is called acceptance. So when my father passed away, I accepted it right away. It's like there's a difference between feeling grateful and being grateful. So at that time, it's hard for anyone to feel grateful. It's like you will question everything. But I chose to be grateful. And I was grateful for everything he provided. And people think that people die and go, but no, we carry their aspirations through ourselves. So that's the thing. My father passed away. I grieved for a while and I accepted it right away. Okay, it is what it is. It's happened. I can't change anything. If you fight with reality, you will lose, but 100%.
I like that.
Yeah,
that's what Byron Katie says. So I accepted it. I'm grateful and I'm carrying all his aspirations and his legacy. And that's it, guys. Like, it is what it is. You have to accept. If you do not accept, you will be in the world of illusion and you will hurt yourself and you will become you will not able to reach the ceiling that you have.
Yes.
And slowly you are indirectly hurting the people who strive for you.
Yes.
So if I do not do anything, my father would not be happy. So I just look at that.
Wow.
That's how I go.
I read about that recently in The Power of Now. And what is the other one? The Mastery. Oh, there's another book that I'm reading. The Way of Mastery. And they talk about acceptance. When you go through challenges, when you go through obstacles in your life, it's exactly what you just said. If you fight it, that's when the pain body is created. That's when the pain will settle until you accept the situation and realize that you can either stay in the dark or become the light. But they also talked about like you said, the fifth level you said is grieving.
Is acceptance.
Acceptance. But in order to accept, you also have to allow yourself to grieve. You have to allow yourself to feel the pain or the emptiness, whatever it may be, like sit in it, not numb it. Cause a lot of people like to numb the pain with alcohol, with food, with drugs, with sex, whatever it is, instead of facing it and then accepting it so that they can move forward. So it's absolutely, and it's so much easier said than done, right?
Yeah. You have to be it. See, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional.
Right.
I love that.
And kind of like you were saying with when you're faced with these challenges, even there is like your potential through these challenges, and we also sometimes don't live up to our potential through challenges. Like when we're going through a hard situation, like, okay, the goal is to do this tournament, but then I get hurt. Well, now that's kind of messing with the ultimate goal, but how am I responding to this challenge? Am I responding to this challenge at my fullest potential, or am I allowing this challenge to knock me out of the game?
Right.
You know?
Yes. BNS, you mentioned Steve Hardison, and Steve Hardison is the ultimate coach, right? You've gotten to spend a lot of time with him. You had mentioned that he came into your life during this time. Can you share with us what was it about Steve Hardison that helped you in this situation?
Yeah. So, like, Steve's introduction in my world is like it sounds like a movie. So I have a friend called Emily Penton. So she suddenly messaged me one time that you have to see this guy, Steve Hardison. And I thought, like, I read like hundreds of books, but I have never heard about his name. So I thought I will check it out, check later. So she was like almost at the point that she started to like message every day. You have to. So I thought, okay, I will check it out. But I did not actually. I was delaying it. So what happened is that Emily talked about me in front of Steve. And Steve asked Ankush Jain to get in contact with me. So Ankush was under one of my comments, and he said, Steve asked me to connect with you. And that's how we got connected. And slowly it happened. So the reason why I'm saying that Steve changed me is that, see, I'm a really fun person. I always look for challenges and excitement. I bring it on, come on. So I am such kind of person.
Yes.
So I asked Steve to interview, right? So, he declined Oprah for 4 times and he never gave interview ever. So my interview was the first interview ever. So he challenged me to read the books and do this. And if you do all that, I will think about it. That's what he said.
Yes.
So once I get the challenge, I'm like super awesome. Like I am into this mode, right? So that's how everything started. And because of him, I got to meet people like you guys. So I love talking with people. Like,
yes.
I told someone in the event also, why are you so energetic? They asked me, and I said that because I eat and drink people or something.
I eat and drink people. Yes.
I did not even eat lunch and dinner. Like I just ate this much. But I was constantly energetic because if I am with people, no one can stop me. So all those things happened because of Steve. Yes. So that's why I'm grateful to him.
BNS, I want to ask you, you said that if you read all these books, then he would think about it.
Yes.
Right? It was not even guaranteed.
Right.
And it's for somebody that you really, at that point, you didn't even really know that much, right?
Yeah, I don't know much about him.
And there's that is something, because I want to talk about really like we've been talking about, is the human potential. And like I was mentioning before, how we're capable of so much and people don't go for it.
Right.
And like why it is that some people just, it's not, I mean, for people that try things, it's not, kind of like you, it's not difficult to try something new. Or even if you look at you can tell like your mindset towards challenges or obstacles or whatever, I'm sure that you probably look at it more as an opportunity than a challenge or an obstacle, because I'm going to grow from this thing. Right. And I want to kind of know like why that is, that some people have that, I'm going to give it a shot. And some people just, I can't, don't even try. But before we get into that, make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. Share it with the people that you know. When you guys go to our website, you can find how you can follow the podcast there. You can follow all of our social media. Anywhere that you're listening to the podcast or watching the podcast, any social media that you're on, you can just search Opposites Attract Podcast and we will come up. You can subscribe, follow the show, leave us a comment, subscribe, review, thumbs up, all of that. And when you're on our website, you can click the support the show tab and you can click through our Amazon link, and anything that you purchase through that link doesn't cost you extra, but it helps out the show when you do it.
Yes. And if you would like to support in a different manner, you can actually go to buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod and buy us a virtual coffee or a virtual drink. And you can also subscribe to that on a monthly basis as well.
Nice. And also BNS, you can find BNS's channels on YouTube, Hero BNS and BNS Goku Great. And yeah, make sure you guys follow his channels, comment, subscribe, thumbs up, notification bell, all that stuff.
Yes, yes. He's definitely someone you do want to follow, as you can already tell.
Yep. So yeah, BNS, is there anything else, like a website or anything that you want to give out that you would like people to go to?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I have created my own website. So herobns.com. So,
HeroBNS.
Yeah. And you know that I got 100,000 subscribers in less than 48 days. So I am pretty good with
he's pretty
YouTube stuff.
He's pretty good with the YouTube stuff. I mean, you got 500,000 subscribers, interviewing Wim Hof. You know, that's pretty awesome.
Yes.
So I provide services there like that, and my book reading service. Like I read a book a day, right? So it would be very useful for the coaches if they can avail my service, where I share with them 10 books per month, which would be 120 books per year. So that would help their clients as well.
And thank you. I want to get into that here in a little bit. But yeah, so what do you think? So why is it that some people, because like I feel that way, you know, when I see something, and a lot of times, kind of like you've been talking about recently, when you see something and you get that feeling like, ugh, like, I don't know if I want to do that. And then being like, you know what? I realize that I don't want to do that.
Therefore, I'm going to do it.
So I'm going to do it. Right?
Yes.
And well, as you said, there's a difference. Actually, that knowing that difference will be very useful. There's a difference between I can't and I don't. Many people mix that up. If you don't want to do something, just say I don't want to do it, or I won't.
Wow. Okay.
Rather than I can't. Some people say I can't do that. Really?
I just had an idea. Like, I think you just helped with something with our son. If we can change, because a lot of times he says I can't.
That is huge.
Instead of, better than saying I can't is like, hey, stop saying I can't. Say I won't. And maybe he'll start realizing that I won't. That means that I can. I'm just not doing it.
Exactly. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's how you distill. That's how you start the growth mindset. Because people are unaware about their capabilities, that even if we ask that, can you take out the trash? They said, I can't. See, like that got imbibed, like that got imprinted in our brain, and slowly it percolates. If you start doing something in your life, it will inevitably go to other areas of life. So if you start small, it will lead to big things.
So how do you change that from, I mean, like, we're going to help our son with it, but if you're an adult that, man, that's got to be tough. You know, if you're kind of, because if you're saying I can't all the time, you're almost unaware that, you know. So how would, yeah.
Well, anything is possible with repetition. So yeah, we got all this because we repeated such stuff. Now is the time. See, there's a saying that it sounds cliche, but I will say this. What is the best time to plant a mango tree? Well, people say 20 years back.
Right.
But what is the second best time? It is right now. So
right now.
Let's do it. Just do it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That's pretty powerful.
That's awesome. So let's talk about your channel, Hero BNS. And on your channel, you have all these life hacks. We've been talking about the books. And I wanted to, like, what will people find on your channel? Because I know the videos are short. I was watching one recently about the most recent one, I think, was about positive mindset, right? And so yeah, what can people find on Hero BNS?
Well, they will just get reminded of their potential every single time. That's my goal. That see, I have a very specific way of taking notes from the books, that I generally don't note something if it sounds flashy or something. No, if I can implement it right away, like literally today itself, I will note down in my notes. Otherwise, I will not. So I have like hundreds of books of notes in a single document. And if I want to make a video out of maybe suffering, I will just type suffering and I will get all the notes about the suffering, and I can utilize it all into a single thing. So whatever you see on my channel, you will literally implement it from today. That's the guarantee.
Okay. So it's a step by easy, something that you can watch, a short video that you can watch with something that's going to be able to help you change your life, and you can implement it right away.
Well, sometimes seeing is believing is true. So I think people will find it out, and I only bring the world's best information. That's my guarantee.
Excellent.
So I'm on your Facebook, and you had put up a post that hit home for me. I want to read it, if you don't mind. So 6 days ago, often we save our best behavior for strangers. We tend to take greater liberties with those who are closest to us, those who care about us most and about whom we care, than we do with total strangers. We may say painful or hurtful things to family members. We may act hostile to our partner or best friend. Although such lashing out may come from a feeling of intimacy and a long shared history, and no worthwhile relationship is going to be free of friction and at that time pain. There is no justification for insults, hostility, or contempt. I therefore propose a slightly modified version of the golden rule. Do not unto those close to you what you would not have done unto others who are not so close to you. We can get angry and upset. We can be disappointed and hurt. But if we want our relationships to flourish over time, we must treat those we love with at least as much respect as we do those we have not yet met. And when I read that, it took me back to a time where I was so focused on success that Miguel was putting our babies to sleep most nights. This is when they were little. And I recognized that that's what I was doing. I was coming home and giving you the little that I had left.
Yeah.
And with that post, it's like when I went through just our conversation and how you are with your family, seeing how close you are to them. Matter of fact, I think you had mentioned that you guys go on every vacation together, that you have not crossed the street alone without your family. This is something that you recognized at a very young age, to treat those that are closest to you with the most respect. Give them the best of you. Yeah. And I just want to thank you because it was such a great reminder for me. And since I became aware of that, things have changed.
Yeah. What was that moment for you, BNS, when that thought came into your head?
So actually, this is so true on so many levels that just I will give you an example so that we can understand that's happened in real life. So imagine that you are arguing or behaving weirdly with your family members, and suddenly someone comes from outside and you will suddenly change the behavior. Hey, hi, how are you? Like, you can shift for others, but you take the family for granted. What is the moment is that when my father passed away, like, he used to ask some stuff, like, it used to be so routine that we used to just ignore sometimes some stuff. Now I'm getting that I wish I could have did some things that he asked. Like, we take family members so granted that
wow.
It could be like my father likes to take lots of photos. He likes he takes lots of photos, and he used to ask me to take some photos. Sometimes I used to say how many should I take, and I used to not take many.
But try to rush through it.
Yeah. And now I am observing that what would happen? So nothing, world is not going down or something. So what if I spend 5 more minutes on that? So sometimes we just keep ourselves in an artificial rush or artificial scarcity that in reality we can slow down.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was telling you that I had noticed that too, like with work. Like I think for guys, a lot of times like you focus on your career and you focus on your work and you want to do well and you want to progress and you want to move up. And you're showing everybody at work the best side of you. You know, you're reading the leadership books and you're doing all the stuff and you do it all at work. And then as soon as you leave work, it's like, all right, enough of that stuff, you know? And then you're like, everybody at work got the best part of you, you know? Yeah. And then your family gets the leftovers.
Yeah, man, that's powerful. See, I'm just saying this. If we die, our employer can get a new employee, but our family members can't. So there's a difference. So you know, we are the only people,
right? You know, and that's a huge thing because work is important and it's a big part of people's identity. But I've seen it where you have an employee that's been there for 35 years and you see the work they do and it almost seems like they're irreplaceable. But guess what? When they retire, a week later, somebody else is there. And then a year later, somebody figures out how to do all that stuff, you know? So, but your family is not the same way. You know, your family is, that's it.
When I met BNS, your mom and sister were with you.
Yes. And my uncle as well.
Yes.
Family trip.
Yes. And he had just mentioned that he's going to be going to Peru. And they're going with him.
So, like, see, it's 100% sure that if I go somewhere, they have to accompany me. And even when we are in India, we just spend half a month with my sister at her place, and we'll come back. We'll stay here. It's like every month we'll stay 15 days at our sister's place. So she got married recently. So that's how. And recently, when I went to USA, I took my mom, and now I'm going to Peru and US again. I'm taking my mom.
That's awesome.
Why not?
That is so cool.
It is. I mean, when you look at it, the total family dynamic, and you know, it's like, it's amazing to see that, and to really like just spend that seeing you and your mom and your sisters together. You guys are all full of smiles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Happiness runs in our genes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Hey, BNS. So talking about the human potential stuff, do you remember that moment when you kind of started, like your mindset started changing? Like, hey, it seems like I can really try anything that I want. You know, because I think it comes a point where, I mean, you don't just start out with that mindset. I don't think. I think you do something, and then you do something else, and then over time it starts to compound, and then you're like, wow, I've done all these things, and then it's like, well, why wouldn't I try whatever else pops into my head? Do you remember what that was like for you?
Yeah, well, I would like to take a little off direction to that. Sometimes you don't need to do things to prove itself. Like sometimes you get these things because you're that. So for me, I really think that I can do anything. Like nothing is impossible for me. Like it's so easy for me. Like I am like that. So if I see, once I made $80,000 in 2 days. So like everything is possible.
Hold on a second. You can't just be like, one time I just made $80,000 in 2 days.
Did you say 80 or 18?
80.
What?
Dang.
So like I really think like I'm ultra powerful. It may be weird, but because see,
I believe it too. I believe you are.
I am enthusiastic. I already told you, I think multiple times, but I will repeat myself. Enthusiasm comes from 2 words, entheos, which means God within. So if a person is enthusiastic, God will possess that person to make things happen. So I'm so enthusiastic and so looking forward that, come on, man, I'm going to do it, and it will be so cool. And that's how I can do it. And even when Steve said, I'll think about it, I know for sure that it's going to happen. Because I know that once something is there, I'm going to dig a hole out of it, man.
I don't know why. I just thought of the movie Dumb and Dumber when the guy is, when Jim Carrey's talking to the girl. He's like, so what are the chances of us getting together? Like, 1 in 100? She's like, more like 1 in a million. He's like, so you're saying there's a chance? It's like, like, you're like, that's me. If there's a shot, I'm the one that's going to do it. Right?
Yeah. And I can give you an example for that. I am the first person in India to interview Wim Hof. There's a story behind that.
Yeah.
So actually, I wrote an email to Wim Hof team that I would love to interview him. And of course, they said no, because it's like Wim Hof is requested by so many people and he's becoming so big and big.
Right.
So I was being very nice in the email that the team wrote back, and the team was their daughters, actually.
Okay.
So their daughters said, okay, well, if you really want to explain the Wim Hof method to Indian audience, why don't you interview me, like us? So that's the moment I know that I'm going to eventually interview Wim Hof. So like I interviewed them. They are so impressed. I do 100%, like beyond 100%. So they are so impressed. And they slowly become my friends. And we have been talking. And slowly it's been a year at that time. And I asked them again. And they said, now he became even big. It's impossible to get it. So I thought, okay, what if I get 100,000 subscribers in less than 60 days? Would you do that? And I think they thought it's not possible. So they said yes. And I know that that's the opening. And I did it within 48 days.
Wow.
And that's how I got my interview. And their daughters, they become very good friends. And the daughter visited our home for like 2-3 times till now.
Wow.
And that's how everything, man.
That's incredible.
That is cool. You know what? Earlier you were saying when it came to meeting Steve Hardison, it's like read all these books and then maybe you'll get to meet Steve or interview Steve Hardison. And then it's like, well, maybe it, like not even guaranteed. Why don't you interview us? Like interviewing his daughters, but it's not guaranteed that you're going to interview Wim Hof. And it's like all these little detours. And I think a lot of people's mentality would be like, I'm not trying to read these books. I'm trying to interview Steve Hardison. It's like, I'm not trying to interview his daughters. I'm trying to interview Wim Hof. And that's where it all stops.
Right.
You know, it's like, just if there's something that you want, just go. Just go. Whatever it's going to take, if that's what you want to do, just do it.
What was your most favorite? So who are some top individuals that you've, we know Les Brown, we know a few of them, but what top interviews have you done and which one was your favorite?
Well,
and why?
I would have said Wim. I would have said Wim Hof, but my most favorite interview of all time is Chris Voss. I will explain who he is. Chris Voss is a world's #1 FBI negotiator, like a hostage negotiator.
Oh, wow.
He used to be called upon if terrorists kidnap someone or if they hijack a bank, and they will give 60 seconds time that if you do not accept, we'll kill them. So he used to be the #1 person who used to negotiate with such hardcore criminals. So there's a book that he wrote called Never Split the Difference. And I read that book and I became a fan. I know that he's a huge deal, but I took his course and I took a lot of notes. I used his own techniques to bring him to the interview.
That's like Jedi mind tricks.
So at the end of the interview, I said that I used your own tricks to make this happen. And he was so proud of me. And I still remember that. Wow. That's the best interview I did.
That is just amazing.
Dude, I want you to say like what he said, but I would rather our listeners go check out the interview and then we go check out the interview so we can see it for ourselves.
Yes.
Man, that is cool. That is so crazy. So speaking of that, like if somebody said, can you share one video with me of yours? Just one. Which video would you send to them?
Are you talking about interviews?
Interviews or like a short clip, just somebody that you meet is like, hey, what, you tell me that you're a YouTuber, and it's like, oh yeah, I'd love to check out some of your stuff. What would you send me?
That's a good question. People are different, so I would give them based upon their thing. But yeah, in the interviews, one of the best quality interviews I have ever done is I interviewed a person called Donald Robertson.
Okay.
Robert Donaldson. Sorry, Robert Donaldson, and he's the world's most leader on Stoicism.
Stoicism.
So he's Stoicism. He's an expert on that. I asked him the entire concepts of Stoicism. So if people wants to really get the information that they can use in their life, that would be an interview I would recommend them. It was jam packed with insights that I was unable to believe myself after the interview. That's one of the best I did. So Hero BNS, it has lots of golden nuggets, but it depends on the people. So you could check the video on suffering I made. Suffering is essential to grow. Lotus don't grow on marble, but on mud.
Yeah.
So if we have some listeners that are listening to this and they're struggling growing their YouTube channel, what are some top tips that you can give them to help them grow their YouTube channel?
Easy. So easy. Okay. So first of all, they have to start uploading the videos that they have interest on. Don't think that okay, this formula is so easy, I will tell you. So you have to upload. Actually, I have looked at your channel also. I will love to give you feedback later.
Yeah.
So if a person is individual, like a single individual, I recommend them to make 50 videos, right? 50 videos based on similar topics, which should not be like if you just record yourself like vlogging. No, it does not work. It should offer some kind of value to the people. You have to upload 50 videos on a consistent basis, like every week, 2 videos.
On similar topics.
Yes, similar topics. Similar topics is very important in the beginning, not like long term you can change it. But if they do 2 of these things without losing themselves, and if they could learn how to make the thumbnail better, that's it. No matter who you are, you're going to be famous.
50 videos, the thumbnail.
And similar topics.
That's it.
And
then the 50 videos, you release them over how long? I'm taking those from myself.
It depends on consistent basis. Like if you want to upload 2 or 3 videos per week, it should be on the generally same days if it's possible. Otherwise, it should be 3. Don't release 50 at a time.
Right.
Imagine algorithm as a person. Okay. Imagine you are meeting me. If I say that, hi, or something like that, you talk something. You can't recommend me to some people, right? You have to know more about me.
Right.
So it is like you're training the algorithm by consistent. If I keep on talking with you on regular intervals, you'll know more about me. Then if you see someone might be helpful by the information I provide, you will introduce me to him, right? It's the same thing with the algorithm. That, okay, he's talking mostly about health. Okay, maybe health audience would be interested. So that's why it will recommend to the people. If you do one thing, that thing, some people will do vlogs,
it's too much.
You don't know who it is and how it recommend. So common sense.
Very interesting.
That's awesome.
Yes. So with our podcast, that's something that's been a challenge just because it's about us, marriage. Yeah. Like this interview, we've talked about family. We've talked about being, just challenges and obstacles. Right. We talked about overcoming challenges and obstacles. Right now we're giving them tips, like
identity.
We're everywhere. But it's because
that's who we are.
That's who we are. Right. Like I'm a mom. We're parents. Yep. We're married. We are entrepreneurs, but you have a career. I mean, you're in jiu-jitsu. So it's just all over the place. And we've gotten told that it's going to be difficult just because, we have different, it's just, different topics. But I'm sure our listeners are definitely going to appreciate your tips.
Yeah. So BNS, you mentioned the suffering, and one of the videos that you would definitely recommend is the suffering video. And that's something that I've talked to Joey, to our son, about that a lot here recently. And it's something that over the last few years, the more that I kind of think about life and think about everything, you can't help but think about suffering and how that affects you and your position or your mindset on suffering and how that affects you. So I wanted to kind of ask you like when that came into your mind and like your thoughts on that.
So one thing is that I used to back then used to think that if someone in a family passes away or something, I used to think that would never happen in my life. Like everyone will be safe and everyone, like I used to be almost anxious about it. Like if someone, I could not even handle the thought of letting them go, but it happened. So, but I'm glad that I was able to read lots of books. I could understand the concept of suffering, that no matter who you are, you're going to suffer. Period. Like no one can help you with that. So we have to have the ability, the endurance to go through it with a right attitude. That's where people go otherwise. They get through suffering and they can't handle it. They will go to a rescuer. Rescuer could be bad things also. And alcohol could be could also be a rescuer.
A rescuer, yeah.
Yeah, gambling or like drugs. Something could be also rescuer. So that is the thing. Suffering is there. Even Elon Musk or you or me or anyone in the world will get suffering. But it's the attitude that you have to develop. That's very important. That's why people, if I could recommend something to a parent, I would recommend them that make sure that the kids get into sports for sure. Because if they get into sports, they will learn the art of defeat. They know how to get back, that they will know what it is in reality. People will say that, oh, you're so special, blah, 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 blah. But in reality, if they lose, they're going to cry and they think that they are the bad. Right. But if they go into the sports and they say that, okay, you lost.
It's black and white.
But sometimes you will win. So it's like it teaches how to get back. So I think suffering is inevitable. I mean, if you go even depth, that suffering is required. True form of happiness can't be attained if you don't suffer.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. I mean, that's where growth comes from.
Yes.
Is through suffering.
So, see, the more we should be proud of the time that we spend in hell. So let's be proud of the time.
Yes.
It's funny because I've mentioned before where like you just mentioned, be proud of the time that you spend in hell. And it's like the tournaments and like everything that is difficult that you do in your life. Boot camp is like that for most military people.
Yes.
It's not fun when you're going through it, but it's really weird how you look back at it as like some of the best times of your life.
Yeah.
And in the moment, you think you might be going through some of the worst times in your life.
Relationships. I mean, you and I mean, through our challenges and through our obstacles, I mean, most people would have given up, divorced, whatever. But us going through the challenges helped us to become the people that we are today.
Yeah.
15 years later. So it is all about, who you are and how you handle the challenges.
It's like
and struggles.
something, because you're talking about sports, and I know 4 martial arts myself, so we shared that. So it's like a boxer going into the ring, and if you get punched, he will quit. Well, you can quit, but would that bring any growth? He would not. He would be like doing the things that he used to be. So it's like, you're choosing that. So let's choose that and play and
let's box.
Eventually. Let's box.
That's awesome. Awesome. And that just gave me a thought when I have I'm starting a martial arts podcast. So we'll definitely have to have you on the martial arts podcast too. Fighting for Your Life, coming out September 7th.
Yes.
All right. And so thank you so much, BNS, for being on the show. Again, before we get out of here, I want to make sure that we give everybody your information so that they can get a hold of you. Go ahead and share your YouTube, your website, or where you want people to follow you.
Opposites attract.
Thank you.
Okay. The best place for you guys would be Hero BNS and BNS Goku Great. And come there if you really want to be your ultimate potential.
Awesome. And also make sure you go to herobns.com. And you can check out BNS's website. Make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. Follow, subscribe, share it with the people that you know.
Yes.
Guys, sorry to interrupt, but I need to say something.
Yes.
You guys are awesome.
Thank you. You're awesome. And thank you so much for being on the show with us.
We appreciate you. I'm so thankful for you. And just excited to have you, part of our lives, being able to learn a lot from you. And you were so young to be so wise. It has to be all the books you've read.
All thanks to the books.
So we love you and we thank you for your time. And this interview was something that I was looking forward to. So thank you so much.
And with that, thank you guys. Make sure you go to our website and check out BNS's website. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.